Hello YouTube. Bane666 here. I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of the zombie genre. I've always loved George Romero's zombie franchise. Even the remake of Dawn of the Dead was cool. Although we won't mention the remake of Day of the Dead. One of the worst remakes ever. And I'm a big fan of the Walking Dead TV series, as well as the comic. If you haven't read the comics, and you like the TV show, trust me, read the comics. They start out just okay, but it really takes off around the time they get to the prison. And I would go as far as to say I enjoy the comics more. So yeah, I like my zombies. And I thought to myself, why not do a video on gender politics in the zombie apocalypse? I'm going to set up a scenario, and then look at it through 3 gender lenses. So let's start with the scenario. It's familiar to all of you. Zombies have taken over the world. And there are 2 lucky survivors, 1 male, and 1 female. They also have a pointy stick for poking zombies in the eye. No guns, just the pointy stick. Fortunately, they also have a very strong building with a thick iron door, and bars on the windows. Supplies in the building are very limited, and routinely need replacing. Okay, so now that we have set up the scenario, let's look at it through our first lens, which is traditional gender roles. In this scenario, whenever new supplies are needed, it's the job of the male to take his pointy stick and go out into the world and get them, while the female stays behind where it is safe. Both genders have advantages and disadvantages in this scenario. It's true that the female has the advantage of security, but it comes at the cost of her autonomy. While the male has greater autonomy, it comes at the price of less security, higher risk, and responsibility. Now this worked for a long time. The male would go out into the dangerous world, and the female would stay at home, safe and bored. But after some time, it started to feel like a prison. Which is perfectly understandable. So she demanded change, and she got it. Which leads up to our second lens. Feminism. In this scenario, the female wants to be out in the world. Perfectly understandable. She wants more autonomy. Also perfectly understandable. There is just one problem with this though. She wants none of the risk that goes with them. So she demands that the male makes the outside world as safe as the secure dwelling. So with traditional roles, we had a trade-off between autonomy and security. While in this scenario, the female demands both autonomy and security. And it's the job of the male to deliver it.
Look, we have to go back to the fact that it was my generation, the 60s generation, that broke all the rules. When I was in high school in the early 60s, we were protected as young women. We were expected to be virgins. Only tramps went to bed with the young guys, right? Now, in college, we're the ones who said to the campuses, get out of our sex lives. We were imprisoned in all-women dorms. We had to be in 11 o'clock at night and sign in. We said, let us make our own mistakes. They said, it is dangerous, you will be raped. We said the price of freedom is risking rape. Now, what's happened today is that young women have inherited the freedoms that my generation won, but they do not realize that with that freedom, with it come risks and responsibilities. Now, again, I'm saying sex is a dangerous and unstable, it's a combustible force. You cannot predict how someone is going to behave. A very rational person, male or female, can suddenly behave irrationally if you push the wrong button, because all kinds of things come flowing out of you that are nonverbal, that are beneath the conscious realm. But Freud was thrown out of the feminist movement 20 years ago by Kate Millett, who declared him a sexist. So what I'm saying is that we're not even aware of things which can suddenly erupt up, all right? Things can lead, I mean, gay men have known for centuries that the price of sex can be death. Gay men, since the time of ancient Rome, were going down to the docks, into the alleyways, and ending up beaten up and dead, all right? What is this sentimentality that the Gloria Steinem wing of feminism has created around the issue of sex? It's supposed to be completely this totally risk-free, cotton candy thing. Everything is wonderful. And the slightest thing that's disturbing or abusive is somehow, it's always coming from men. Men are generating it. I am saying women are giving signals, nonverbal signals that they're not aware of, okay? If a girl goes to a fraternity party dressed like Madonna, is drinking 11 tequilas, and goes up to a man's room, she is communicating below the level of language. I'm sorry, it does not do any good to say no always means no. Now I'm saying no. To go to a man's room is in effect to consent to sex. This is what I want to bring back. I'm pro-sex. I'm saying go with it. Go with it, girl, okay? Go with it. Have the adventure, but stop whining when you wake up hungover the next day and he doesn't call, and he doesn't send flowers, and then the feminists come around and convince you you've been raped.
So if I call you up for a date and I pick you up and you get in the car, have you now placed yourself in such danger that no matter what I do, you've got no claim against me?
No, but what I'm saying is that my number one concern is the dignity and freedom of women. Right? I'm saying the dignity and freedom of women will not be achieved by overprotection of women. Right? It will be achieved by women taking personal responsibility for themselves and deciding what they want and being upfront about their sexual desires. I want women to want sex as much as men want sex.
This means more responsibility and danger for the male, as it's hardly feasible for one lone man with a pointy stick to kill every zombie infecting the planet. After all, there is a lot of those fuckers, and he's only got one pointy stick. And with all this extra cost of danger and responsibility, he doesn't gain any more autonomy. So after a while he starts to get a bit sick of the scenario, which leads us to our last gender lens. MGTOW. In this scenario, he basically says, "Fuck you, I'm taking my pointy stick and I'm out of here." Although he still has danger, he is now only responsible for himself and has as much autonomy as he wants.
Rates of injury and premature death among Inuit men of the past were horrendous. You know, here are a bunch of guys who were expected to go out in a damn kayak in 40 below weather and chuck spears at whales 200 times their size. Or go out on treacherous ice that if you fell through it meant almost certain death to hunt seals, in order to bring home way more meat than they could possibly eat by themselves, and share that meat with the women and children who had gotten to stay home safe and sound. Now, I'm wondering what you think would have happened if you had convinced those men that their wives needed them like fish need bicycles. You know, what do you think would have happened to women as a result of that? What if you'd told those men that this woman and these children aren't yours, right? They don't belong to you. Therefore, you have neither the right to dictate to them nor any responsibility to take care of them. You know, what if you said that women are every bit as capable as men and they're men's equals in every single way that matters? What if you'd actually convinced men of that? Heck, what if you'd actually convinced Inuit men that women's work was just as important and prestigious as men's work? You think maybe a lot of men would have taken up sewing? You know, those Inuit men who could have, if they'd wanted to, just gone off on their own. You know, I'm just going to go off by myself, club a baby seal every month or two, and I will do just fine, since chewing pelts into fur and stitching them into clothes really isn't that hard. And, you know, I'd have plenty of free time to do that without all those extra mouths to feed.
There is one other possible scenario. It's the egalitarian, humanist, MRA, scenario. In this scenario, both the male and female get a pointy stick each. They both have equal autonomy, equal risk, and equal responsibility, and work together to achieve common goals. But it takes both partners to do their fair share. To have equal autonomy, they both must take equal risk and equal responsibility. This is my preferred scenario, but unfortunately it doesn't work if one of the partners believes she is owed special protection from equal danger and doesn't accept equal responsibility. And for the record, Michonne and Carol are two of my favorite characters in the Walking Dead TV show. They would fit this scenario perfectly. Admittedly, Carol wasn't one of my favorites at first, but she has earned my respect since. Anyway folks, until the zombie apocalypse, always remember, don't drink the poison Kool-Aid. And keep a pointy stick handy, just in case.